Welcome to another week of the CrossFit Open. We have 15.4 and we got the handstand push-ups. First time that movement's ever showed up, and it's a pretty high level skill. And what I want to talk about today is really helping those out there that haven't done a handstand push-up before and want to maybe get their first rep this time, or have them but is not very consistent, not very clean. See if we can get a little more efficient. And then at the same time, for those that are going to do a lot of volume, I just want to give you a couple pointers so the next day you are not completely jacked in the neck and 10 years from now not functioning the way you should be. For those that haven't been working on their Olympic weightlifting and 185 may get heavy for the cleans, I'm sorry, I am that guy and it's going to be hard for me, so it's going to be a clean workout. But if you have, you'll be able to focus on the handstand push-up, and that's what I'm going to do today in this video. So first thing first, we're going to start on the ground, and I'm just going to show you the basic tripod position. And the basic tripod position, all it is doing a headstand with your knees on your elbows and your hands where you can see them. So if I get down right here, bend over, get my knees on my elbows, pick my feet up, that's my tripod. In this position, I can see my hands the whole time. If I can't see my hands, that means my hands are probably too wide and I probably won't have balance at the bottom position of that handstand push-up. And not just that, if you follow the standard that's been set for 15.4, what you'll see is that you actually do need to have your hands a little closer to make sure that that foot position hits the mark. Next thing I want you to focus on is, as you have that tripod position, is can you pick your knees off your elbows? Once you have that, this is actually the initiation of that kip. But what I'm really focusing on here is just getting comfortable, getting my spine in a neutral position. That neutral spine position is what's going to carry over for longer periods of time and keep you safe. Now, for those that don't have very efficient kipping handstand push-ups, just practicing this gives you a little stability in the bottom position. But when you are performing your kipping handstand push-ups, keeping that flat back is going to be key. So practicing that is very important. Once you have that, this is what I want you to do. I want you to bring your knees up. Once your back is flat, you're going to kick, and all you're going to do is going to finish in a push-up position. We're basically using our hips and our legs to drive the body out of the hole, out of that headstand. This is almost like doing an upside down thruster. So our hips are really important, but if our hand position is not stable and correct, what we'll see is that power will actually leak out, and then all of a sudden we won't have any access to pressing. So once you have that, where you're kicking out into a push-up position, we're going to go a little further. Instead of finishing in a push-up position, you're going to go past that. So headstand, knees on the elbows, they come up, kick, go past that. Notice where my shoulders are. They're not on top of my hands, they're past it. And what does that mean? Well, now we're covering more distance. And that distance that we're covering is starting to mimic that full range of motion that we want in the handstand push-up. Another thing that you may be seeing here is that as you kick and you reach further with your feet, your arc is actually going a little higher. And you'll start feeling like landing on the floor almost hurts. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that floor and we're going to bring it up, and it's going to be the wall. So I'm going to come over to the wall on this side, and what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to go headstand, knees up, kick, finish. Now, that is simply a progression from the ground up to into a more vertical position. It's a partial handstand push-up. If that feels a little sketchy and you haven't done that before, maybe get a spotter or two until you feel comfortable with the movement, and you may surprise yourself and see that you can actually perform that scaled version of the handstand push-up. Here's the next thing. Once you have that, all you do is move your hands in closer to the wall. You can be progressive, 1 millimeter at a time, or you can do a bigger jump. It's up to you. If I go half the distance away, let's say this was my full distance, and I go half distance, what we'll see is that that handstand push-up is now almost up into a vertical position. And if you can complete that, then you will be ready to actually flip it around and try to do a handstand push-up with your back against the wall, which is the same thing I just did, but performed facing the opposite direction. Hands down, head down, knees up, kick, finish that movement. Now, notice here I started with my knees on my elbows. I picked them up, got my back flat. Once I was set, now I drove up and finished the handstand. Well, that would be technically your first handstand push-up that you've ever done, or a very efficient way of just practicing that kip and making sure that you're maximizing hip power with shoulder follow through. Now, the standard that's set for 15-4 asks you to start in the handstand, descend down, and then perform the motion. So as you descend, very important, have a lot of control of the shoulders and don't let the elbows flare out. We don't want the head in between the hands. We want the head going in front of the hands. I want to be able to see my hands a little bit. And why is that? Well, one, I have a better shoulder position. My elbow will be right on top of my wrist, meaning I have better application of force. But not just that, I will also have the strength to control myself and lower myself safely. So for those that are going to do a lot of volume, very important, make sure that the descent has some control and that you're always leaning forward. So after you kicked up into that handstand and we're descending, make sure you go forward, control the movement, bend the legs, drop the hips, drive, and that would be your finished position. Now, last thing, if you're the person that does kipping handstand push-ups and after a couple repetitions you start falling off the wall, that's most likely because your hips and butt are leaning against the wall and it's driving you out, it's bouncing you off. If you need to lean against the wall because that's what you practice, I recommend you keep the head tucked in and that you look at the ceiling. Just looking straight up is going to give you that straight line. Here's the difference. If I look down on the way up, I'm going to fall away from the wall. But if I look up at the ceiling here, now I'll have a better direction to make sure that those feet land where they want to land and that I finish the rep and it's counted. Connecting those is a matter of just mimicking what we just worked on. Descending with control, hitting that tripod, bringing the legs down. If you have to lean against the wall, do that, but make sure that you keep the back as flat as possible. Big drive up, use the hips first, then follow with the arms, and if you can, tuck the head in to guarantee that you constantly hit that target. That's your handstand push-up. We're getting it once. That's your handstand push-up. If you want to do a lot of volume and you don't want to mess your neck up, if you're looking at the ground the whole time and you come down, that extension in the neck plus the load is going to be a problem. And then in terms of efficiency, head in is going to allow you to last longer and to always hit that target. Handstand push-up is the name of the game for 15.4. Good luck with the cleans. If 185 and 125 is nothing for you, fantastic. Enjoy the ride. All right, I'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we'll have some more skills to talk about. Peace.